Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another Fright Night Friday Blu-ray update. This time around, some more additions to the Hammer Horror Collection. That's right, it's Hammer Horror 5. Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So this time around, not filling in gaps in the ongoing sagas that Hammer Horror did, like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, etc. No, these are just some standalone kind of one-off movies that they did, but definitely significant, and some of them have been highly sought after for quite some time. So first up, we have from 1957, X, The Unknown. Yeah, so this one came out the year after the first of the Quatermass films. And I gather they kind of wanted to do this as a sequel to Quatermass, but maybe they weren't able to get the rights to the character or something. I'm only guessing here because I gotta say, this very much feels like a Quatermass movie. It's like Quatermass minus Quatermass. You know, so it doesn't have Professor Bernard Quatermass in it, but it definitely feels like the same kind of story. Essentially, this strange, unknown creature appears and starts attacking people, and it leaves high radiation in its wake, and it melts the flesh off of your body. Yeah, and this is interesting because this is sort of from this wave of sci-fi horror movies that came out in the 50s, where it's not so much a straight-up alien invasion. It's more like a creature that's not easily defined, which I think makes it scarier, because it's not just a guy in a rubber suit. No, this is something much more, well, as I say, not as easy to define. Kind of like the Blob, I guess. The Blob was not easy to define and therefore scary. That's kind of what the creatures are like in the Quatermass movies, and certainly in this one as well. Is they're very alien creatures, and that I think makes them more interesting and more scary. So if you like the Quatermass movies, I definitely recommend checking this out. X the Unknown is a great addition to that sort of type of alien creature, mystery, sci-fi, horror story subgenre. It kills, but cannot be killed. X, the Unknown. Yeah, this, much like the Quatermass experiment, this was kind of a play on the rating system. Basically, they were proudly wearing their X rating like a badge of honor. That their horror is just so intense that it rates X. You know, dare you go and see it. Of course, these are pretty tame by today's standards. They barely rate a PG nowadays, but you know, cool stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. It's a fun one. I like the more kind of intellectual sci-fi horrors. I find them really interesting. So there you go. As always, a very nice addition from Shout Factory. Next up, also from 1957, we have The Abominable Snowman. Now, this is interesting. It doesn't mention this anywhere on the packaging, but there's actually two cuts of the film on here. Apparently, the reason being, the only 35mm film print they had was actually an incomplete cut. It didn't have the entire movie. There was some stuff, I guess, censorship cuts or something. Anyway, there was stuff cut out. But they got a hold of a standard definition copy of the complete uncut movie. So what Scream Factory did was they took inserts from the standard definition film and dropped them in to the to make it complete, using as much of the 35mm elements as they could, and then using the standard def elements to fill in the gaps. So the alternate cut they include is the full 35mm cut that has the footage missing. However, if you compare the two, they went for kind of a shot-by-shot method for the replacing the footage, and I don't know that that was necessarily the best way to do it, because what it means is sometimes there would be part of a shot would be included in the cut-down version, but not all of it. So they would have like a segment of the scene, and then the rest they would fill in from this. So you would think they would use as much of the 35mm footage as possible and then just cut to the standard def footage when they need to fill it in. But they didn't. Rather than do it kind of mid-shot, they would do it where the shot begins, which means they're kind of overlapping a little bit with the standard definition footage and favoring the standard def footage to have that shot complete. You know what I mean? And I kind of get why they did it that way, is so that it's not a jarring difference in quality mid-shot. I get that, but honestly, I don't think it was the best way to do it. How I would have done it would be have the 35mm footage as far as you can, and then do like a 3-frame dissolve to take us to the standard def footage for that shot, just to ease the transition a little bit, almost on a subconscious level, because it's such a short transition, but enough that it's not like a jarring change in quality, you know what I mean? I think that would have been a much better way to do it, and unfortunately they didn't. That said, it's nice that we do have this movie complete. And this is kind of a rarity. I'd never seen it before. And this actually I kind of also put into the category of movies like X the Unknown, because it's not so much all about the monster. Like, a lot of people go into this one thinking that it's going to be a straight up monster movie like so many of Hammer's subsequent films. It's not. It's actually more about the humans on the expedition and what they're all about, and their relationships and their motivations and stuff like that. You don't actually, I mean, you do see the Abominable Snowman in it, but you don't see him a lot. Because it's not the main focus of the story, despite the title of the movie. And I think a lot of people are kind of thrown off by that. They go in expecting a monster movie, and when it's not just a rampaging monster going around killing everybody, they're disappointed. This is actually a very smart movie. It's a lot more intelligent and character-driven than you would expect, and much more kind of intelligent than the typical kind of rampaging monster movie or alien invasion movie or whatnot that was so common around this time in movie history. So definitely a good one. And it stars Peter Cushing and Forrest Tucker, actually. Both kind of as foils for each other. And very, very good. I really enjoyed this one a lot. The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. From the cover here, we dare you to see it alone. Like, it really hypes it up as a monster movie, and I think a lot of people were kind of expecting something else. But I really enjoyed this for what it is, and I don't know. People are like overly harsh on it, I think. Oh, this is interesting. So we have just the disc art there, but if we take this out, here, let me actually slide this out. We get like one of the full-size posters, like the double-size posters. That's very cool. I like that. See it with someone brave, a timeless terror to freeze you to your seat. Yeah, this was very good. This is definitely one I'm going to watch again. So there you go. As you can see, they don't mention that there's 2 different cuts or that there's mixed source material used for it. They really should have mentioned that somewhere on the packaging, and I don't know why they didn't, because it came as a total surprise to me. I first was made aware of it when I pressed play on the movie, and there was a little disclaimer at the beginning. I'm like, oh, would have been nice to know that. I would have bought it anyway, because, you know, I wanted it for the collection, but would have been nice to know that ahead of time. And I think some people are felt a little misled by that. Next up, we have one that's been long sought after on Blu-ray here in North America. We have Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. This one I haven't watched yet, so I don't really have much in the way of a review to say about it, but But this sounds like a lot of fun, kind of an interesting take on the old Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. So rather than turning into just an evil man, he turns into a lascivious woman when he transforms. So kind of interesting. So looking forward to checking this one out. This is a later era Hammer film as well. This is from 1971. So this is when they started to get into slightly more exploitational fare. A little bit more racy, a little bit more sexy, not just the horror, but also having some, you know, a little bit more titillation in it, in their horror movies. And this is certainly from the beginnings of that era anyway. So it's around 1971 to 1976 when they sort of stopped doing horror. But yeah, so anyway, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. Just take a quick look here. I think if we flip it upside down, yeah, you can kind of see the... I don't know, Dr. Jekyll looks evil too. Like, are they just both evil? I don't know. I haven't watched this yet, but yeah, it looks like a fun one. Lots of extras on there as well, which is great. Let's just crack this open. Yeah, so we have the disc art there. And then I think it's reversible. Yeah, we have a reversible cover as well. Let's just take a better look at that here. There we go. Shock after shock after shock. So shocking with its shockingness. Yeah. Kind of hard to decide. Warning, the sexual transformation of a man into a woman will actually take place before your very eyes. Wow. Intense. So there you go. Again, another really nice addition from Scream Factory. Yeah, Scream Factory has really been knocking it out of the park, bringing us all these wonderful Hammer films, a lot of which have never had Blu-ray releases over here before, so it's been a real treat. Not the least of which is this next one, which even the DVD has been out of print for ages here, so this has been kind of a holy grail movie for a very long time from the Hammer catalog. We have Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. Yeah. This is one I've been wanting to see for a very long time. I've just, heard about it. It's got kind of this cult fan following. And, I've seen all their other vampire movies, so I wanted to see this one, too. I really like all of Hammer's vampire films. Yeah, so good stuff. So we'll take a little closer look here at it. The only man alive feared by the walking dead. Excellent. Yeah, really looking forward to checking this one out too. I know it's been quite the cult favorite for a very long time. There we go. Kind of a swashbuckling vampire hunter, a little different from the Van Helsing types that we usually see. So, yeah, there we go. Very nice. And it's great to finally have this on Blu-ray. I mean, it's been kind of a hard one to get a hold of for a long time. And we got some nice extras on there, too. And there you go. So, lots of nice extras on here. In particular, interested to check out that Anything Goes Hammer Film in the 70s featurette, which I'm sure will go into how they got a little bit more exploitational to stay competitive in the changing 70s. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't really last beyond the 70s. I think the last horror film they did was To the Devil, a Daughter in 1976. And then the last film they did was The Lady Vanishes, which I think was an adaptation of the Hitchcock film. I'm not sure. But it's not available on video here. There's only the Hitchcock one. So I'm sure we'll get it at some point. But that was 1978, and then Hammer closed their doors for like 28 years. It's only in recent years they've actually come back. But they're not the same. It's a different Hammer now than it was back then. So I don't know. we'll see. Maybe they'll get back to doing some good old-fashioned gothic horror again. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, some very nice additions to the Hammer collection from, I guess, kind of the beginnings of their horror era and the end of near the end of their horror era. So, some pretty cool stuff. As always, if you'd like to if you'd like to add any of these to your collection, I will include Amazon links in the description. And of course, using my Amazon links does support the show and all that I do, so thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so that is it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. Be sure to catch me on Twitch. I stream almost every day. And I'll see you next time. Until then, sayonara.